This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Experience a membership that backs your business journey with American Express Business Platinum. When you pay with membership rewards points for all or part of an eligible flight booked with a qualifying airline through Amex Travel, you can get 35% of those points back, up to 1 million points back per calendar year. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
We need to talk about retirement. Yes, again. And are you having meeting fatigue? I think I am. Enjoy. Welcome, everybody, to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. You might remember me from such businesses as Age of Radio, Blockheads, the creator of Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, 3T Warrior Academy, I don't know, and a bunch of other stuff that I do. I do so much, I'm so tired. There's so many meetings. We're going to talk about meeting fatigue today. But before you do, go and join my Dope Insights and Updates channel on my Instagram. You can find me on social media at Age of Jeremy. If you didn't know, I also have another account called 9_Age of Jeremy or 9_AOJ, where I talk about music and the arts and humanities as I go deeper into that realm, because that's one of my strongest passions. Just like Age of Radio, one of my strongest passions. Hope you guys are enjoying the Markets Radar segment shows. I've been working on them to make the way in which they flow a little bit more flowy, because again, it's getting a lot of market news, delivering that news, trying to give commentary on that news as best as I specifically can. We also have another news show called The War Room on the Coach JV YouTube channel. You should check that bad boy out. That's a good one. He does that Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 o'clock a.m. He does the same kind of concept, breaks down some of the market news and gives commentary on it. I go more into markets. He goes more into maybe economic news. I like looking at the markets. Well, both of them are really good. I like personally looking at the markets because I enjoy markets. I enjoy analyzing them. I enjoy finding other places to invest. I enjoy building really strong portfolios as it relates to investments. And the really only way to do that is to understand how markets work, and that's why I have Markets Radar. So I hope that you enjoy it. It's going to be coming to a new feed once we get some other stuff associated with, fixed with the opening and the closing of it. Maybe get a little music playing in there, having a little fun with music. But again, it's a lot of fun, and that's why I like doing it. And I learned so much from doing the podcast. That's one of the other reasons why I do it. I do enjoy having someone to talk to on the podcast, and eventually we will have more podcasts where that's happening. But for now, this is a pretty good process that I have for getting my content out there and for helping you understand the things that I think that are important. And to start us off, one of the most important things is retirement. Today, we need to talk about retirement. You know, the magical time in the future when you finally supposedly get to stop working, kick back, and live off the modest savings you've been responsibly scrolling away into your 401k or your IRA. At least That's how it works for you and me. That's what we were taught to do. Go to school, get a job, get a 401k, get an IRA, work for 40 fucking years, excuse my language, retire, and then maybe die. And I don't even know if people accomplish the things that they want to accomplish in their work for those 40 years. We just know that we have to work to make money to die. And if you didn't know, death is also expensive, something that you should look into as well. But for Silicon Valley insiders, they're playing a completely different game. And this is from a Wall Street Journal report. More than 1,000 individuals had IRA balances of at least $25 million in 2024. The latest year for which figures are available, according to new data prepared by the nonpartisan Congressional Joint Committee on Taxation. Meanwhile, the average American family has about 268,300 in individual retirement accounts. If you guys have that in your retirement account, you're doing pretty swell, in my opinion, based off of a lot of the people that I deal with and coach on a regular basis. 1,000 people with $25 million in their IRAs. The government created these accounts to help working class people avoid eating cat food in their 70s by giving them a little tax break. And yet we have thousands of tech bros using them to stockpile enough cash to buy their own private islands, hopefully not Epstein Islands. I don't know, it's probably a bad joke. As a corporate tax lawyer in the Wall Street Journal article said, this isn't keeping you off the dole in old age. This is yacht financing, or what's called dynasty building. Tech bros buying private islands. I'm just incredibly jealous. If someone told me I could legally hide $25 million from the IRS, I would do it. Would you do it? I'd buy a yacht, name it the tax loophole, and I'd sell it right past the IRS headquarters. That would be fun. Actually, to be honest, one day I would like to be in charge of the IRS. If anybody runs for presidents and you want someone to be in charge of the IRS, I feel that I could do it really, really well. Not only will we get rid of some of the bloat, I would do more auditing on larger businesses to make sure that they're doing things proper. Actually, I probably wouldn't 100% do that. I would try to find a way to make artificial intelligence do that. And then because I would be in the government, I would be knowing what's going on with the AI. And then I would invest in those AI companies, but no one would know about it. And it would essentially be insider trading in some capacity, but I would get away with it like everybody else in this House and the Senate. But anyway, so how are people kind of doing this? So Bazuki, 61 years old, I don't know if I said his name right, is one of hundreds of people who bought stakes in promising startups when the shares were worth peanuts, stashing them in retirement accounts and watching their values balloon to 8 figures or more. What they are getting essentially is the mother of all tax breaks. For example, Gregory Bazuki accumulated 2 million shares of Roblox in his Roth IRA at just 72 cents a share years before the companies went public. Now, that's a mother of all tax breaks. You buy startup shares for actual pennies before the companies goes public, meaning you stay way under the $7,500 annual contribution limit for an IRA. Then when the company hits the stock market and explodes in value, all of those gains are completely shielded from taxes because they're wrapped up in a retirement account. Bazuki sold a third of his stake at the IPO for $141 million and avoided around $9 million in federal capital gains taxes. And remember Peter Thiel? He was the person that said, I forgot exactly how he said it. It was like he thought, does humanity need to move into the future? And he didn't know how to answer the question. But anyway, ProRepublica revealed he turned a 2000 Roth IRA into $5 billion over 2 decades. $5 billion completely tax-free. And this is where the system is just completely fundamentally broken, right? The IRS limits you and me to putting in a few grand a year because they don't want rich people abusing the tax breaks. But if you're a venture capitalist who controls the valuation of your own startup private shares, you just say, these shares worth practically nothing, just a penny. It's basically a VIP pass to infinite untaxed wealth. But it gets even bigger. Tinch Coates, 68, a former managing director at Sutter Hill, has $500 million or more in a Roth IRA. Other retirement accounts, including his former employer's 401k-like plan, bring his total tax advantage retirement savings to around $2 billion or more because he bought NVIDIA shares in his retirement account back in 1999 when they or equivalent of just under 3 cents a share. $2 billion in a retirement account. Tinch Cokes has saved more than $40 million in taxes just from selling NVIDIA shares inside his retirement account instead of a regular brokerage account. This is exactly why Senator Ron Wyden is calling this an egregious loophole, which again, this is the problem that I have with the system that we're in. We teach people to get mad at the people that are taking advantage of the loopholes rather than getting mad that the loophole specifically exists. Rich people pay for people to get into power, and then the rich people that paid for the people to get into power, because there's certain people that like power, then there's people that like money and realize that they can use money to manipulate the people that are in power because they're really the ones that are in power, and then they help them make the actual rules. Wyden and Representative Richard Neal are actually introducing a bill to force people with over $10 million in these accounts to start making mandatory withdrawals to finally pay some taxes on it. Now, I don't know if this will actually happen because of what I just specifically said, so I'll believe it when pigs fly. It would also be really cool if pigs could fly. Congress got rid of the caps on retirement savings back in 2000 because they said it was a complex to administer and penalize successful investment. Now, the Pandora's box is opening, and these guys have amassed fortunes the size of small countries inside amounts meant for standard middle-class seniors to benefit from. So until they fix it, the new requirement plan is just to invent the next NVIDIA in my garage, which I call Age of Radio, and sell my shares for a nickel. Okay, let's break some more of this down. So the Roth IRAs are a great tax advantage strategy for anybody. Do I think this bill is specifically going to pass? No. Do I think that you should have a Roth IRA? Yes. Now, there are some benefits to having a Roth IRA. There's some benefits to not having a Roth IRA, but a Roth IRA should specifically be a part of your overall tax strategy. A Roth IRA works like this. First, you contribute after paying taxes. So suppose you earn $100,000, you pay income taxes on your salary. You contribute, for example, $7,000 for your Roth IRA, assuming you're eligible and within the annual contribution limit. Unlike a traditional IRA, you do not receive a tax deduction for your contribution. Then you invest the money inside the Roth IRA. You can invest in stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, bonds, CDs, real estate investment trusts, or other eligible investments. The account itself is just a container. The investment you choose determine your returns. Now, suppose you invest $7,000 today. It grows to $700,000 over 30, 40 years. Normally, you would owe capital gains tax when selling investments in a taxable account. Inside of a Roth IRA, there's no annual taxes on dividends or interest. There's no capital gain taxes on trades, and there's no taxes on qualified withdrawals. When you withdraw, you can withdraw it if you're 59 and a half or older and your first Roth IRA contribution was at least 5 years ago. And you can withdraw your contributions and your earnings completely tax-free. So you and everybody should have this part of your overall strategy. But they do have limits on it, okay? For 2026, the IRS increased both contribution limits and income limits for Roth IRAs. If you're under 50, the maximum contribution you can have put into it is $7,500. If you're 50 or older, you can put in $8,600. Now there's also income limits. So if you're single or head of household, you less than $153,000, you can put in full contribution. If you make between $153,000 to $168,000, you can do a partial contribution. And if you make $168,000 or more, like myself, there's no direct Roth IRA contribution, but there may be a loophole around that too. If you're married filing jointly, less than $242,000, you can do full contribution, $242 to $252 partial, and $252 or more no direct IRA contribution. Now, just like with everything, there's a loophole. It's called the backdoor Roth IRA, taking it in the back door. Now, if your income is too high for a direct Roth IRA contribution, you can contribute after-tax money to a traditional IRA. Convert that traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. If you have no other traditional IRA money, the conversion is often little or no tax because you've already paid taxes on the contribution. Now, The IRS looks at all of your traditional, your SEP, and your simple IRAs combined. It does not let you choose to convert only the after-tax dollars. Instead, every conversion is treated as containing the same proportion of after-tax money basis and pre-tax money. So for as an example, if you have no other IRAs, you contribute $7,500 after tax. With the traditional IRA, $7,500 after tax, $0 pre-tax, you can convert the full $7,500. Taxes due is zero, assuming there's no investment gains before that specific conversion. Now, looking at an existing IRA balance, suppose you already have traditional IRA of $92,500 in pre-tax. You add $7,500 after tax. Now your IRA contains $92,500 pre-tax, and it includes $7,500 after tax. So the total is $100,000. So your after-tax basis is the $7,500 divided by the $100,000, which equals 7.5%. So if you convert the $7,500, 7.5% of it, $562.50, is tax-free. Then 92.5% is taxable as ordinary income. However, that could still be a much better position to be in now than maybe later on all of the capital gains that you would gain that you do not have to pay taxes on. So that's the thing that you think about. So a Roth IRA should be a part of your strategy. You should open one up today. I try to use Charles Schwab for most of my investment accounts. I also use Wells Fargo. I'm not sponsored by any of them. Those are just the accounts where I house them and what I use for my brokerage accounts, but there's lots of different places to get IRAs. There are also different versions of IRAs that can be self-directed, but specifically when you're self-employed. And those have different benefits to them because they can allow for a specialized custodian, and those things can allow you to invest in private companies, real estate, private loans, tax liens, precious metals, and certain other alternative assets. So that could be something that is a part of your overall strategy as well. If you're more interested in this, you can reach out to me at jeremy.quintanilla@qfinancialllc.com. And I'd love to have a conversation with you about this and other tax strategies that you can utilize in this manner. There is a link or in the episode description, you can find my email. Just reach out to me and I'd love to set up a free consultation with you. We'll be right back.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Traditional banks are making it harder than ever to secure a small business loan. That's why thousands of business owners trust Cardiff for same-day funding. With over 2 decades of expertise, business owners keep voting Cardiff America's favorite small business lender. Apply now for up to $500,000 in same-day business funding at cardiff.co/Spotify. Again, that's cardiff.co/Spotify. Cardiff, borrow better.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his perfect bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high-quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
All right, I'm recording this at 7:30. I usually record this on Mondays. It's Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m., and I have been in back-to-back meetings. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about managing meetings, something that I'm continuously dealing with, but I do run a lot of businesses. But the problem with a bunch of meetings is that it doesn't allow me to do the other type of work that I want to do. And so this is usually referred to as Zoom fatigue. So you click leave meeting after your 5th meeting, and you just stare blankly at your desktop wallpaper, completely drained of your life force. Now, what is actually happening to our brains during these calls? And more importantly, how do we stop it? So I want to dive into some of the research regarding that. So back-to-back virtual meetings have become very stressful, causing what's the meeting fatigue that I'm referring to it as. Now, according to research by Microsoft's Human Factors Engineering Group, taking short breaks can prevent the meeting fatigue. That's something that I haven't done in any way whatsoever. Back-to-back meetings create an accumulating buildup of stress in the brain. Anticipation of transitions cause further spikes. Short breaks in between meetings allow the brain to reset, and then they don't experience that specific stress buildup. And so when you're constantly going back to back into meetings, your brain doesn't have the ability to kind of calm itself down before it gets into the new one. And so we literally have EEG brain scan data proving that back-to-back meetings fry our circuits. So when you jump from one call straight into another, your brain never gets a chance to reset, leading to compounding buildup of stress. Furthermore, the research into Zoom fatigue shows this isn't just about staring at a screen, it's about what researchers call nonverbal overload. So video conferencing forces us to manage a bunch of unnatural communication cues. So it causes mirror anxiety from staring at your own reflection all day. It causes hypergaze from feeling like a dozen floating heads are staring intensely right at you. I don't experience that all that much because I'm usually on a meeting with a few people. And then the physical constraint of being trapped in the fixed view of a webcam. So there have been some notable studies that show women experience significantly higher levels of Zoom fatigue than men, largely because they report feeling more of this mirror anxiety, hypergaze, and feeling physically trapped. So again, the concept of having meetings and back-to-back, it makes you feel as if you're constrained to the environment in which you're in, which can make you start to feel somewhat from a subconscious level or from a psychological level that you're specifically stuck, or you're kind of like stuck in prison. So the obvious solution would just be to turn the camera off. Well, when you listen to what an expert from the European Journal of School of Social Psychology found, turning the camera off versus on resulted in being perceived as less engaged, less morale, and less suitable for a leadership role by other group members, but had minimal impact on the actors' experiences. People underestimate the engagement of off-camera targets, which is something that I specifically do to people as I make them turn on their camera. And so they can actually have their camera off and they can still be engaged in what's specifically going on. And it could help people get through this specific type of fatigue. Now, if you leave your camera on, you suffer from nonverbal overload, surface acting, and mirror anxiety. But if you turn your camera off to protect your mental energy, your coworkers unconsciously assume you're slacking off, which is something that I just hit my microphone, my bad, which is something that I do to the people that I work with. I'm like, you have to have your camera on. But that is something that people could be feeling, and we need to be cognizant of that. And the thing is we go into this new world over the last 5 years of the way in which we communicate with each other, the way we experience meetings, the way office work works. It's important to think about that there is research that's going on to make these things more productive. And our responsibility as leaders is to make sure that our human capital is the best possible capital that we have. And I feel that the more that we live in a capital state or a capital society that pushes people more to be more and more productive, it causes us to lose out on the human connection, and we're actually becoming less productive than if we give people more time and allow them to feel the way that they need to feel and do the things that benefit them in specific certain situations. Researchers studying cognitive load in meetings have found that a lot of our exhaustion isn't actually from working too hard, it's from passive fatigue. Passive fatigue is essentially drowsiness that hits you when you're understimulated or sitting through a monotonous task. That's why I freaking hate sitting on meeting after meeting, because all I'm doing usually is listening to some other talk and then telling me if that decision is really good or not, and occasionally sharing my opinion. Most of the time, it's not the work that I would specifically like to be doing, which again is somewhat my fault because we want to empower these people to make these decisions, and maybe they don't feel that they can make those decisions. So you have to have them on meetings to reevaluate what they're doing and then hopefully making them feel better about what they're doing and moving forward. Sometimes when it's a working meeting, those seem more productive to me because I'm actually specifically doing something. Now, if you're forced to sit completely still on camera in a meeting where you don't even need to speak, your brain is essentially becoming really, really bored while simultaneously stressing you out about looking attentive about what you're specifically doing. So how do we actually combat this without destroying our reputation on camera, without pissing your boss off if you work for someone, without pissing your partners off if you work for partners as well? So the science points to a few concrete strategies. First, meeting leaders need to stop inviting spectators and only require attendance for those who have a genuine stake in the decision being made. So a lot of the times meetings don't have anything around decisions, and they try to add in other people that they think specifically need to be there. We fall into that trap with our blockheads company a lot, in my opinion, or where I'm asked to be to a meeting where I don't really need to be there. And I've done that to other people as well. So the first thing is, when you're looking at a meeting, who actually needs to be there and who doesn't need to be there? Elon Musk essentially has this this policy in place that if you're on a meeting and if you're not doing anything and you don't need to be there, you can just get up and leave, and it's not considered rude. So we have to think about that as well, because not everybody always needs to be at every single meeting. And when we give that time back to people, they can do actual productive work that they want to do. We think that they will just go and jerk off. Some people will, and some people will really go and jerk off. Some people will just go and jerk off in the sense of, not working. But most people will probably go and work and do the thing that they enjoy. Second, the Microsoft study, who does a lot of research on this, recommends changing software settings to enforce 10-minute breaks between meetings to allow the brain to reset and improve performance. One of the things that I try to do is I don't allow a meeting to start right after a next meeting. I do my best to allow for 15 minutes to 30 minutes so I can allow kind of my brain to reset before I get into the next meeting. Finally, managers are advised to implement flexible camera policies rather than mandating cameras to be on. Now, I'm not going to do that in my 3T company just because I know that everybody wants to have the cameras on, and we don't have that many meetings with the entire team, so I think that that's fine. In some of my other meetings, though, I think I'm going to move to not have that policy, to take this into consideration, because, again, I've been in back-to-back meetings all day, and I'm just fatigued as crap. I've been doing meetings for almost 12 hours now. And again, I do believe in the work ethic, but it's different when you're constantly having to be on something to not actually get work done, as opposed to specifically working on something that you want to create in the world over a specific 12-hour period. So for example, me and Atoshi, we used to meet every single week. I would try to guide him on what to do. I decided to change that, meet every other week for an hour and a half instead of an hour, and work on stuff during that meeting rather than just finding out what he's doing and where we're at. We can do that inside the hour and a half meeting with metrics, and then we can work on something so that we're actually getting something done. That's one of the things that I have found to be very beneficial in managing how meetings are put together. Okay. So again, to fix a broken system, the solution isn't just kind of tough it out, which is usually what most people tend to do. It's more structural. So if you're a manager, you have to realize that good meetings are a strategic leadership tool. They shouldn't just be about reporting numbers. Also, stop scheduling 60-minute meetings back to back. You can schedule different timed meetings, 25 minutes, 15 minutes, even 15-minute meetings, so it doesn't even feel that, like, a lot of the people, they resort to two things. One, they resort to a 30-minute block, or they resort to a 60-minute block because they don't have their calendar set up in 15-minute increments. Now, I used to have my calendar set up in 5-minute increments. That used to be crazy. I'm comfortable with 15, and it reminds me I can have meetings for 45 minutes. I can have meetings for 30 minutes. In fact, the shorter the meeting, probably the more efficient you'll be, because you need to know, that you need to get it done a lot faster. You can even do 50-minute meetings. They don't always have to be 60 minutes. So I've moved to only doing 45-minute meetings. That gives that 15-minute blocker outside of that, and then the meeting can start in the following 15 minutes if you have to have back-to-back meetings or meetings consistently throughout the day. Now, I have a lot of introverted employees, and I always try to force them to do the camera on. If you recognize that video calls are disproportionately draining for anybody on your team, establish a culture where it's perfectly fine to turn the camera off without anyone assuming that they're secretly goofing off, browsing the internet, doing something ridiculous. Now, and for those of you who don't have the power to change company policy, maybe start taking a walk at least once a day, once during your workday. I never go outside during my work. I've not been outside today. In fact, I'm probably not even going to go to the gym tonight because it's getting late. I'll probably knock it out tomorrow before my Merlin meeting. And so again, make the time to do those small breaks, because that's what keeps you from getting that specific type of fatigue. And that being fatigued doesn't mean that you don't like what you're doing. Being fatigued just means that your body has been overloaded due to whatever the stimulus is happening inside of your office or inside of your business. Okay. One of the things that helps is standing desks. If you have a standing desk, use it. The intuition of wanting to sit down might actually make you naturally push to end a meeting sooner. So if you are, and it can also keep you more attentive and more lively. It's really important for us to be standing. In fact, we as a society, or as humans, I guess, biologically are not really made to be sitting, and definitely not sitting the way we sit in chairs all day. Okay. So again, you have to fight back and really get focused on managing that calendar. And one of the best ways to get good at that is also telling no to someone. You can tell no to someone and it can be okay. And, or you can work with someone, tell them how you're feeling, and come with a solution that's going to work best for both of you. I think in larger companies, especially, those types of things are encouraged, so that, because they know that they need people to be very successful, right? They know that they need individuals to be successful. They need them to be rested. They have all the research that backs it. So if you're at a big company, I would say that more of those things are more warranted, especially if it's like a top 100 company or a Fortune 100 company or a Fortune 500 company. Smaller meetings, may be a little bit more difficult, but I think that if you have real conversations with people, I do believe in that people will be more open to how people are feeling and want them to be successful. And if they're not, then maybe you shouldn't work for those people, because they're probably dicks. So again, some of the things that you can do: manage your calendar, shorten the amount of meetings that you have, only bring people to the meeting that need to be at the meeting, and really work to take back your time and your life. Because while we do find purpose in our work and you do enjoy it, there are other things that are as important, and you need to build them into your life. And sometimes meetings are not important, so you need to build them out of your life. And as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk with you soon. Bye.
Tell me, how does it feel? Tell me, how does it feel? I see the meaning of life in your eyes. It's like swimming in the ocean at night. And when I'm with you, it's like I'm on fire. Nothing is real outside myself and your smile lines bring me down with sweet soft sound. My name, the way it sparkles when it leaves your mouth. Fill my soul with you.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Shop up to 40% off with minimum purchase and a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Plus, pay at your own pace starting at 0% APR with Affirm. Terms apply.